Come on in, come on in.
Hi, how are you?
Would you like a tea or coffee?
I'm the one that takes a coffee before sugars.
I think there's a seat over here. If you have a wee seat, I'll get the tea or coffee.
Hello, everybody. Come in. Please find a seat.
Hello, Kairos with the spring.
Come on and get a cuddle and a cuppa.
We can laugh. We can cry. We can talk anything that matters. With all of us together, it'll be chaotically beautiful. Let us all sit and enjoy the Brew and Blether.
Well, most misconceptions or misperceptions about mental health are that people are crazy, or that they're deluded or deranged, or they're demented, or they're these phrases, demented, crazy, sick in the head, sick in the mind. You get stereotyped by people, and they think that you can't think for yourself, or because you've got this condition, or you've been doing things to yourself, and you've been self-harming, or you've been doing this and that and the next thing, that they think you need a person to come in and be a saviour, and there's always that perception that you're unfit or unable to do it yourself because you're not compass mentis, or you're not in a fit state. I think it's getting better somehow, but it's still got a long way to go with how journalists report in the news, and when someone who's got a mental illness, because they usually just say the person's has got a condition, and they just mention the person who is a danger. They just say they're a danger so be on the lookout for this person because they're a danger. So they're putting the compartmentalising mental health as something that is a threat and a danger to yourself, and a threat and a danger to other people in the public.
It can only affect certain people. Like, if you're young, then you shouldn't really have any mental health issues. Like, you've got no reason to, or that it can only affect certain type of people. And that misconception that you can just easily snap out of it, when it actually isn't that easy. Mental health is a very complex and issue, and it can affect anyone regardless of their background or their strengths or weaknesses. These misconceptions can create barriers, as it can lead to stigma or shame, or even the fear of judgment. I feel like this definitely could prevent people from seeking that help, and because there's these stigmas and misconceptions of mental health, I feel like it makes it difficult for people to assess their mental health needs, and kind of figure out what they're going through, or maybe deny what they're going through just because they're scared of the biases or judgment that they might go through. And I think in general the misconceptions just are just a lack of understanding, and especially empathy. And I think people might be scared to access these services due to things they see maybe in social media or the news.
So I'll use myself as an example. There was the misconception that I wasn't really struggling as much as I was, and that I was just making it up, in air quotes, for attention. So that's the first one. The second one I've come across as well, I'll do these all from my personal experience, but second one is being told constantly to just relax. And again, I'll put that in air quotes, just relax, because I actually Googled this and there was 15 things not to say to someone with anxiety, and the top one was don't say just relax, because people can't relax on command. And I was very validating to read that it can make a person's anxiety worse, because it made mine worse. And the third one I've come across as well is you're just overthinking it. And I've actually learned that that's my brain I take longer to process things. So that's my brain trying to process. And once I've sometimes I need a bit longer to talk things through, and then I come to a conclusion, and then I stop thinking about it and move on to the next thing. So I think that for me, it's not always overthinking, it's actually just my brain trying to process and come to a conclusion. It just takes a bit longer. I've not been taken seriously. So there's been things that I've been disallowed because they thought, well, the misconception has been you're not really struggling that much, you're just doing it, you're making these things up for attention. And so I actually was told by one particular healthcare professional not to come back, not to seek any more service from them, because the physical stuff that I was dealing with, which was very frightening. From what I was being told about it from a physical point of view, I was being told, what's going on for you physically, this needs medical attention. And then when I got to the hospital, I was told it's just anxiety, there's nothing wrong with you. And then why are you here again? Basically don't come back. So I had to learn to live with symptoms that were manifesting in a physical way that were very, very frightening. And I think, and also there's other resources that I tried to access, and again I felt as if they were saying to me, you're not struggling as much as you're saying you are, so you don't need this, you don't qualify for this help, just go away and get on with it. So I would say in short, to summarise that, the way misconceptions create barriers is that people don't get taken seriously, and then they're left without support. A lot of what I experienced was, the only thing they could say to me was, that sounds terrifying. It felt like there was no answers, and it felt as if going along with the misconception of people are just doing it for attention. In my case, a lot of what happened, they didn't know what was going on. The symptoms that I experienced, they didn't have names for, and they didn't know what was happening. And I think they just didn't want to believe it was happening. So out of fear. So if I'm making up for attention, then it's not real, and therefore it's not happening. So it just made me shut down and not want to discuss it at all, because I just felt like every time I tried to, it's just, oh, you're just saying that for attention. And it's nothing could be further from the truth. And I actually think that is a really harmful thing, to have to not be able to talk about it, because then where do you go from there?
I feel like conversations on a daily basis need to include how we're feeling. In our society, people tend to respond with I'm no bad, or I'm getting by, or I'm okay, but how often do we really share how we are feeling? We react to outward triggers, whether it's someone annoying, upsetting us, stress, being late, too much to do, and we can become irritated, angry, defensive, because our negative feelings have built up over time. Also, it's helpful if we can share how we're feeling if we are triggered by someone or something. For example, I felt tense and stressed because I was worried we were going to be late. I'm sorry I shouted at you. As opposed to just erupting, going away. And it can help get our emotions explained to others and ourselves, improves our understanding and helps our understanding of others. And it just allows for more openness. In school, education more around emotional understanding and feelings and being healthy mentally. Groups are obviously another important way that people can come together and be with others, not having necessarily to share, but feeling supported by being with others who have similar struggles. An example for me is a menopause group where women can go who are struggling, and there are many other groups which I think are invaluable.
How sad I am as I lie in bed at night alone,
playing games and texting on my phone. I think back to what I'd done that day. Nothing comes to mind, and all I can say is how sad I am. I think of tomorrow and what I might do. I can't help but feeling my mood is blue. I don't do much and tomorrow will be the same, so I sit alone and play my game. How sad I am. I go to bed in the wee early hours. I feel so low, I forget to shower. That sounds bad, but it's how I am. When you're down like me, you don't give a damn. How sad I am. I don't want to talk about how I feel. There's no one to listen anyway. Get real. I'm alone on this, no one to help me. There is no ending this that I can see. How sad I am. Maybe that's the answer and end it myself. No need for tablets as there's no ill health. I would be free from voices and of pain and no more of feeling alone again. How sad I am. How sad I am of thinking like this. How sad I am of feeling like this. But it's how I think and feel right now. How sad I am today and always will. How sad I am.
For me, I think it's people thinking that you're choosing to be stressed when you have a lot to be grateful for. So like when people do not allow room to think about what could be happening in the background in your life, because you present to be this maybe successful or well put person, and they associate poor mental health with poverty or a person not being able to take care of themselves. One of the main ways I've noticed is these things causing shame to people who need help, and so they lack a place to turn to, so they isolate themselves because they feel like they're being a burden to society, to their families or their friends, and potentially cause harm to themselves and others when they are left without nowhere to look to or ability to find help, like medical help. I am not able to speak, I still struggle to speak about my mental health with some people in some settings, but in spaces like Kairos, I have felt able to speak about it because it's a topic that's spoken about and there's support in place for women and also signposting. But let's say to speaking to people from the country where I am from, I still feel like I am exposing a weakness because there's a lot of judgment that comes when you talk about your mental health. People already think that you're crazy or you're less than.
I had to get a lawyer, but then I was scared because I wanted to challenge the section, but even then I didn't know what lawyer to go to, because you're not told these things. You're not told what lawyer do you go to when you're under a section. How do you seek help? What advice do you get? You don't get taught these things at school. How to stand on your own feet and try to get yourself a lawyer, access to. Back then it was legal aid, but even though you can't get legal aid because it's gone. So how does someone get support? I know they've got the advocacy services, but even then, if you've never heard of advocacy service, how are you meant to know how to support yourself, especially if you've got a section imposed on you? I still have that. I could have I don't know, because I still have dreams about me in a court, in front of a judge, in front of a prosecutor. Well, I don't know if a jury or a prosecutor or that, and the psychiatrist, and they're all going up and saying this person's crazy, this person's mad, they're insane, they're not compos mentis, and they're having psychotic episodes, and they're perseverating and they're experiencing perseveration. We need to pump them full of drugs to make them better. I was like, I don't want to go down the route of drugs. Why have I got to have my brain pumped full of drugs to make me put a smile on my face? You know, why have I got to go down that road? That's the only option you've got. You know, you've got no other option but to go sections and go into hospital voluntarily. And so I had to just go along with it because I was too scared to challenge them.
Basically, it made me stop seeking support at one point, and it made me feel like I couldn't talk about it. It made me feel like my problems weren't being taken seriously, and it also made me feel like my problems were too big, and nobody, where I was going to seek support, nobody there seemed to have any answers, and so it just made me shut down completely and feel like I had to suppress that. So particularly for me, what I found helpful was when someone validated how difficult it was and that they highlighted that I was trying to help myself. That was so much better than well-meaning advice that didn't quite fit my situation, and then when the advice didn't work, there was blame and judgment that, oh well, it was my fault for not trying hard enough. When someone did validate my experience, I felt so much better. I felt seen and I felt heard. And yes, it wasn't a solution to the symptoms I was dealing with, but it made me feel, it took like a massive weight off. And I just want to say as well that, because when I did feel blamed and judged, then that made me spiral. And then I went into self-doubt. I went into thinking like, my experience isn't real, I'm just not trying hard enough, it's all of my fault, like I need to be thinking more positively, like thinking all of this kind of stuff. So that was the biggest things, to have my experience validated and normalised as well, because it's like my situation where what I was feeling, it was actually normal to be going through the feelings that I was feeling. When someone said, well, that makes sense that you're feeling that, that's actually quite normal considering what you're going through, that made a big difference. What I experienced was, yet again, you're not trying hard enough. So, but really what was going on for me was my medication had been changed in such a way that it was normal for me to be experiencing what I was experiencing, but that wasn't acknowledged. If there was just more, I know this is going to sound really like perhaps common sense, but just if there had have been more compassion and empathy and kindness for what I was going through, then I would have not, my mental health wouldn't have spiraled into the really, really difficult place that it got into, because the times when I did experience people being compassionate, I felt like I was seen and heard as a human being. When that didn't happen, and again I was blamed for things, I just felt like, it just made everything worse.
I think for myself is that I was young when I was experiencing my own mental health issues, and I was embarrassed. I felt like at the age I was that I shouldn't have any issues. I shouldn't be having these feelings or these thoughts or experiencing mental health at that age. Like I just felt like there was nothing going on in my life that was the cause of it. And I think I was embarrassed to tell people about it, just because I couldn't figure out the reasons. And I was scared to do it. I was scared in case people didn't take me seriously or just kind of shut me up about it. They were like, oh, what do you know about mental health? Like, you're only young. And it was something that I could speak to my family about it. My family were very supportive, but it was really scary going to doctors and not really getting help that I needed. I got put in medicine and it was okay, but it never really solved the issue of what and why I was feeling that way. And it took me a couple of years to working by myself because of having that fear of going back to the doctors and not being taken seriously, that I was able to kind of manage my mental health issues. But I was very unwilling, especially after the first time. I was taken seriously, and I did have that conversation with the doctors, but it wasn't helpful, it wasn't supportive, it was just kind of, oh, here's some tablets, hopefully they'll make you feel better. I think that it's important to remember that reaching out can be scary and sometimes can be seen as a sign of weakness, but in actual fact reaching out is a sign of strength. I think it's important to not be afraid to talk about your struggles, and everyone experiences different, or life is different, and might not be able to seek support from loved ones, but if you can, I would definitely suggest it. I think another piece of advice I would give that is to remember that you are not alone, and there is always someone who cares and is willing to listen. And I think what I used to think, especially at the start, that no one was experiencing what I was experiencing, and obviously I understand that everyone experience is completely different and doesn't look the same, that actually in fact there's a lot of people, especially that I never knew around me, that was dealing with these same issues, and that kind of helped me not feel so much alone in how I was feeling or going through at the time. So it's just kind of having that conversation and opening up did help me quite a lot, and especially talking to people that were going through similar situations to mine, or definitely did make me talk about these challenges that I was going through, and I wasn't as worried reaching out maybe to some services than I would have been a couple of years at the start of my journey.
Anxiety doesn't knock first. It asked if I wanted to go out. I lied and said I was busy. I was busy, but not in a way most people understand. I was busy taking deeper breaths. I was busy silencing irritational thoughts. I was busy calming a racing heart. I was busy telling myself I am okay. Sometimes this is my busy, and I will not apologise for it at all.
I think that talking about our emotions and understanding what they mean and how important they are is vital, even making them something we rate maybe at the beginning and the end of the day, for school, in the school, at work, at home, etc. Like the same way we talk about food, we used to be focused on the 5 a day, being healthy, the slogan. Well, it could be a central part of our normal daily life. It makes it important, it makes us notice in people around us too. If our rating of emotion is low at the start of the day and it has stayed the same or gone down, it's a case of, okay, what can I do when I get home to raise it? Or if it's a workplace, what could we do at work that could raise it a little bit? Identifying what's making you the level you're at, and something that can just lift you a wee bit, help yourself feel a little bit better. This can be a way our mental health becomes something intrinsic in our life. We all help ourselves and others with tools, and it becomes just as vital as our physical health, diet, fitness, and the norm for all, rather than just particular groups we attend to help us feel better, which isn't always easy for everyone to do.
If you could, I don't know if it could do that nationwide, offer peer therapy groups or a peer support therapist, where you can, because people have issues with trust. I mean, because if you've been affected by people who've abused your trust, that would impact on who you being able to be open and honest about your issues and your mental health or your anxieties and your worries. because there's a lack of so many psychiatrists and so many therapists, and because most it's all in private healthcare, and there's a lack of it in the NHS. But if there was more like peer support therapists, for for people to maybe as a drop-in facility or something where people can go and vent their anxieties and their worries. Someone they can trust and build up a relationship and a rapport with, But that would probably be the way you would need a big budget for that, because budgets are tight at the moment.
I think one of the most important steps that we need to do is break the stigma around mental health, and promoting a more open and honest discussion about it. Having that education and awareness can help to increase the understanding and empathy towards those people that are struggling with mental health. I think that's people not understanding or having education don't understand, and that's definitely, I think, why these stigmas or misconceptions are around surrounding mental health. But then I also feel that when you're watching TV, for example, and adverts start popping up, and it's adverts about something to do with your diet or the foods, or there's sometimes like really good adverts about like not drinking and driving. I don't really see any adverts to do with like speaking up about mental health or any resources that or websites that people can look on to access services. I think that's maybe something that could be improved in the future. I also think that when you are watching these new TV series or movies that are coming out, they do have a wee bit more that representation of mental health, but it sometimes feels a bit, it's nice to obviously see them being represented and a wee bit more, like being able to relate to it a wee bit more, but it's obviously done in a dramatic setting, or it's like I said, it's a TV series or a movie. It's not really like, it doesn't feel that real or that like genuine when it is being portrayed. But I think maybe having like more stuff in the TV, maybe in a less dramatic kind of setting, that would be helpful.
It's not about living with the expectation and aim of going from a low mood or energy to high and energy, but aiming for a step or two above where we are. So, for example, I'm not going to be able to get myself from feeling down and sad to instantly happy and content, but if I'm aware of how I'm feeling and I can just get myself a wee step above where I am, something which takes me out of myself, even if it involves being angry as opposed to feeling powerlessness of feeling low inside, that can be preferable because it's an outward focus on something else, and it gives a bit of relief from that powerlessness of feeling depressed. And then we can reach for a better feeling thought, can move us on from anger to a bit up the scale of the emotions. As humans, we all have one common goal in life, which is to feel good. It's the basis of everything. And if there's more education and focus on conscious thoughts around how we're feeling, like checking in with ourselves, our family, work, we can place the importance of how we feel and our mental health as a high priority and part of our daily routine. Maybe more people will come forward for help sooner due to the openness and sharing regularly of our feelings and the importance that society has put on this. More discussions about how we're feeling, more focus on the mind and feelings than there has been, more emphasis illustrated on the mind-body relationship and the effect of mind health on the physical health.
Sometimes when you have been through tough seasons most of your life, you build resilience and you feel that you will come out the other side. But it's good to recognize that there is help out there, and it's also like doing your research online and trying out things, trying out spaces and seeing if it will be good for you, because sometimes you just need something new and it opens doors to opportunities to better your well-being, your mental health and your relationships.
Even people who says, I've never had a mental health problem, I'm normal in quoted commas, anyone could slip down that spectrum from sanity to insanity. Anyone can slip from one side to the other. It's easily done. It can happen to anybody. It can happen even to people who are famous, people who are celebrities, people like the Queen, people like Princess Anne or King Charles, or anyone can slip down that road of insanity to insanity.